What did you feel like you guys did best, and what did you struggle with at Texas?
We started off the game in a pretty good place. They did a good job working some RPO things, which slowed our guys down a little bit. And, it hurt not having AJ, but, as you take away, we always talk about, hey, man, there's some good teams in this league with good weapons. And if you take away one thing, it makes you soft to something else. And they did a good job, going back and forth between those two things. I think the guys battled really hard. I was excited about, Walt getting a pick down there tight, to keep it in there and keep us in the game, and I thought we did all right on third down. There's a couple that you'd like to have back, but overall we've been playing good on third down all year.
Is going from Texas to West Virginia a pretty big difference from a schematic perspective, those two teams?
I think that it depends on what West Virginia team shows up, I suppose. They have been spreading the ball around and working some stretch games, so that's a lot different, but early in the season they're very similar. If you kind of look at their whole body of work, there's some similarities between those two teams, especially early in the season. They were a lot closer than you would think, so to see what they're going to come out in and what they're going to do, it'll be interesting. You got to have a plan for them to spread it around and throw the ball over the place, and you got to have a plan for them to kind of do the stuff that they did early in the year, that Texas really kind of ran against us also. So you got to have a plan for both.
You see any difference in the two quarterbacks they have?
They're similar. We had a chance to watch two last year because he was at Bowling Green, so we did a little preparation for him. And he's a good RPO guy. He knows how to run that, the system. He did a good job when he was there at Bowling Green. When he got in the game, this last week, there's so little tape on it. You can't totally make a judgment out of that time that he was in, but. He's a good player and understands how to run an offense. He's got a lot of experience playing college football. So, but they're pretty similar guys. They both are very efficient in what they do. Neither one of them turns the ball over a lot. They don't make really horrible decisions. And really they're not taking sacks right now. Which is a great deal for them. He's getting rid of the football when he needs to, and just running it when he has to too.
Your corners were giving up quite a bit of height. This is receivers. What do you coach in that situation?
Stay in front of them, and make them come back to the ball. Really, and that's what you're really looking for. Is if you can take a big guy off the line, then sometimes you can win if he gets a release by using his weight, or his size against you. Then you really got to do a good job of staying on top because, once they get downfield behind you, it's hard to make plays on those. Just the different height things, and every corner will play it a little bit different, depending on his style. But really staying on top is the number one thing, because if you give up a 70-yarder, that'll kill you fast. If you give up 5 15-yard plays as they work their way down the field, at different times, well, you got a chance that they're going to mess up at some point, or we're going to make one play, and that happened a few times for us, fortunately. In that Texas game, they messed up a couple times. It gave us opportunities to get off the field, and we got a pick on that one drive, which gave us an opportunity to get off the field. So that's really what you look for. You like people to have to drive and get multiple play drives against you, because the chance of them messing up or us making a play that goes up with every play you get.
How much extra gets put on your guys' plate in a situation like this, where number one, you don't know necessarily which quarterback you're going to face, and then number two, if they go with one of the two quarterbacks, there's not a lot of film on him.
Yeah, I think that it's one of those deals. You just got to play who's going to show up. There's a reason why there's a starter and there's a backup most of the year. You get to see who they are. I think with every game you kind of go into too, it's a little bit of a deal where you say, every team's going to do a little something different. Like Texas came out and randomly did a lot of different things against us that we had to adjust to. And it's going to be like that with every game. Everyone's going to come in and look at what you do, your style of defense, and what we do is different, than most of the teams in the league. There's TCU who's 4 down, and there's Oklahoma who's 4 down. Sometimes. So for us it's hard to compare sometimes. You got to look for those clips on tape and say, hey, they look like us. What are they going to do against those teams? And then you got to make your best guess. And they could come in, just like our offense would go into spring ball, and they're going to do different stuff against us than they do. When they're playing all these 3-down teams, it's a different philosophy for every team. So there's always a little bit of adjustment there at the beginning, through really the first quarter of every game to figure out what they're going to do versus you. And I think that's what we got this week too.
What do you think you guys could have done better on that 3rd and 14 they converted late?
That's one of those things that, we ran a blitz that's been very successful for us most of the year. I think that Texas did the best job of counting, switching the formation, counting again just to double check we were in it. They kind of gambled on it. If I could have it all overdue, shoot, I'd love to get out of the call and get to something else, that we've worked on. But, it was one of those things, it comes down to us being able to rush on our blitzes, and we got stuck on them because they did ID it, and it's a hard blitz to ID and pick up. And they did a good job with that, and a one-on-one matchup that ended up on the sideline, and you'd say, those plays are going to happen sometimes. You can't turn around and say, hey, it's a deal that you'd say, well, that's a bad deal. Those plays happen. You look at it and you say, geez, I know it was a critical time, but you could say any third down in that game was a critical time. If we blitz a couple times earlier and we make plays on them, we say, hey, good job, and it's one of those things. Every time you blitz, someone's band's going to play, right? That's kind of how it works. Either we're off the field and we're happy, or they're over there getting happy and we got to defend some more plays. So we hope that it works out in our favor most of the time. But it's one of those things that, it comes down to a one-on-one matchup, and really that one came down to like 4 one-on-one matchups. We lost all 3 up front, with the blitzers, and we lost the one on the edge. And so that's going to happen sometimes.
Skyler's only 1 interception this year. Has he been that hard to pick off in practice when you guys go up against him too, or you guys have a little more success against him?
Yeah, early in camp, we did okay against him, but he really started to. I guess I can't remember any on the top of my head lately in practice. We go against each other every once in a while, and he's been throwing the ball well. So we hope he continues that streak, man. He's a good player.
Scotty, what can you say about trade Deshaun and what he's meant to those defenses this year?
He's a guy that his leadership shows up every week, just how he approaches the game. He is definitely the guy in that defensive tackle room that they all look to, and that position group. If you really watch those guys, they do some amazing things. They'll make plays downfield with their running, with their effort. They have not. I would say those guys in that room have not been manhandled by anybody in our conference or that we've played, and it's great to see just the toughness and the fight that he brings every day. It's just he's a steady leader that really works hard for us, and those guys have made some big plays. I remember, because they all burst and they all expect each other to do those things, and he, along with many of those guys, hold those guys such a high standard, I know like 4 or 5 plays in the Texas game that they made plays on balls downfield, passes that were thrown and they turned around and ran. I remember the one against Oklahoma where, they went up and got the ball and we tried 2-2 and missed it, and the dude caught it, and then we missed a tackle and Mitty made it, and it was on a 3rd down and long too, and we make that play, heck, we got a chance. If we don't make that play, well, who knows with how they were scoring, who knows what happens, when you get some of those plays, and he's done a great job really leading that room.
Before the season started, I think it was when you first got here, you said he was one of the guys that you really wanted to sit down one-on-one with and get to know. What's something that you learned about him that you really appreciate?
I just think that his, I like his ink first of all, but he's just a classic guy. He's a guy's guy, man. He's like a dude that, if you were in college with him, you would hang out and drink beer with this guy just because he's a good dude. That's who he is. He's a guy that's not afraid to say it like it is. He's not afraid to. He doesn't really have to sugarcoat things. He's just, you find those humble guys that are that I think are honest and humble, and they do things right, and those are the guys that you want to be around, and you'd like to see your kids grow up with people like that. He's a good dude like that.
How well did you feel like the corners did in general with their roles changing a bit with AJ out?
Solid. I think that those guys, they gave great effort. I know that they got some plays made on them at the same time. I think that some of the matchups were hard there too, and I think that they're getting better. We try to stress them with the best that we have on the scout team every day, and we get our receivers down there sometimes to work against them too. And I think that they're going to continue to improve. And like we say, it's got to be the next man up. And if we have to put more stress on guys like Trey and the front guys, well, we have to do that sometimes. But you're short, so it's a give and take thing, And they're holding up. We just can't do it to them as much as maybe we used to, when we had more guys just to roll.
So there's a video that came out yesterday about after practice, Josh Young led beat Dalton Jones in a foot race. And not that you want one of your guys to do it, but who would you toss out there for the defense to
No, shoot,
win a foot race?
I didn't even see that.
But I'm just saying, for your unit, who would it be?
I don't know. I mean,
I know it wouldn't
you
be
know
no
me, I would
massive
say
already-
some young guy that's not going to play. That's what I would say.
a great
You know what I mean? I'd be like, hey, I don't want those guys wasting 100 yards. They got some things to run on down on Saturday. But I don't know who it would be. You know, a young guy. You know, put out Logan Wilson or you know, I don't know. I'd put out any of those young corners. You know, let them go run or a safety. You know, that's probably not going to get a lot of snaps on Saturday.
All right, guys. Thanks.
All right. See y'all.
Appreciate it, Scotty. Thank you.
Thank you.